Hey, welcome to today's episode of the Alaska Homestead Expo Extras. These short chats are a sneak peek into what you will see and learn about in the 2024 Alaska Homestead Expo. This year's expo, the first of this now annual event, is going to be incredible. We'll have workshops on topics involving livestock care, raising and processing, living off-grid, growing a garden and an orchard in Alaska, communicating via ham radio, baking and cooking with whole foods including sourdough and fresh milled grains, foraging, and so much more. And that's just for the adults. Kids are free and they have their own things to do like crafts and orienteering, which is navigating without electronics. What kid doesn't need that skill? Baking, making knots, and that's just a sample of what they'll learn. Plus, Saturday evening is going to be incredible with our Alaska speaker panel. Jody Anderson is going to talk about her trip to the Polar Ag Conference and the things she learned that are working in other polar climates, including things that we can do right here in Alaska. Josh Smith is going to share about all of the cutting-edge propagation he's doing with things like hazelnuts. You've got it, growing right here in our state, and so many more things that he'll be talking about. And dear Barb Thomas is going to share about homesteading in Alaska during the colony days. Her family homesteaded what is now the Muskox farm. Plus, we will be serving free ice cream from Big Dipper, so you just don't want to miss this. If you don't already have your expo tickets, you can get them on our website, commongroundalaska.com. But for now, enjoy hearing what today's speaker has to say. And remember, this is just a sneak peek, so grab your expo tickets soon. Hey everybody, I'm so glad to have you join us. I'm Tandy Hogate. We own Common Ground Alaska Farm, and this is one of our Expo Extra videos. And this is one I'm really excited about. I've been a customer of Margaret for probably 15 years.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
Way back.
Yeah. You're aging us because we were like in high school when we started, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I just want to share a couple of things. When we first were starting to put together the expo, I was trying to think of, I wanted to make it really diverse and make sure that just anyone who's interested in being more self-sustainable or even building a community that has sustainability. And Margaret was one of the first people that came to mind. And so I did reach out to her. She was one of the first people I reached out to. And I was really excited when she agreed to come because Margaret has a lot of wisdom and she's fun to learn from. I love what you stand for, Margaret. You equip us, you keep us in grains here in Alaska. So I appreciate that a lot. If you just want to start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do, and then we'll get started.
All right, sounds good. I'm Margaret Loew. I live up on Lazy Mountain outside of Palmer off of Clark Wolverine Road. And we have a business called Holy Living, WHOLY Living. It started back in 1993. I sold grain mills and Bosch mixers at that point, just 2 or 3 a year, not much. And I went to the state fair, and here was a man that had a table full of samples of different grains. And I went, wow, that's pretty amazing. And he was from Homer, and he needed someone in this area to sell the grains for him. He purchased them from Wheat Montana Farms in Three Forks, Montana. And so I went, I don't know. I went home and said, honey, what do you think? Can I sell grains? He says, oh, I don't care. And so I laid down to take a nap, and I says, okay, Lord, if you want me to do this, what do I call it? And he says, Holy Living. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. Whole grains. And we want to live a holy life. If we have the Lord in our hearts, have the Holy Spirit there, and we're the steward of our bodies, and we want our bodies to be strong and healthy. And what better way to do that than with whole grains? He called himself the bread of life, and we're supposed to be salt and light. So anyway, I just thought that was a great name. So anyway, it was born back then in 1993. And our first pallet of grain was about 1,000 pounds, which sounds like a lot, but it's only about a half a pallet. And today we bring in probably at least 100,000 pounds of grain and foodstuffs a year. I do believe in evolution. It has gotten better and better in the last 31 years, but that's the only time.
Margaret, can I ask a question really quick?
Yeah.
Is it like a couple times a year that you bring in grains, or do you have it?
I do twice a year in the fall and in the spring. I do what we call the co-op orders, and I direct people to my website, or I can snail mail you an order form. And I just did that this last weekend. If you want to jump in on the spring order, you'll need to place that order by April 3rd, and then your order will come in the first part of May. And if you do that, then you'll save 10% on the consumable part if you pay with cash or check, 7% if you pay with credit card. And that's for this area, like Girdwood. To if you live in outlying areas, we have people that disperse our grain down in Soldotna, Delta Junction, Kenny Lake, Fairbanks, Seward, and even McGrath. So if you live in those areas, then that savings doesn't apply because it costs us more to get it out to those areas.
That's incredible though. And how do we get in on that again?
If you can go to my website, which is WHOLYliving.com, holyliving.com, and there's a link on there that says co-op order form and newsletter. And so you can read about the co-op info and the dates, and there will be a PDF order form there. And then there's also an Excel sheet that you can fill out and then send to me. And there's instructions how to fill that out. Or you can just email me a list. I used to have a storefront, a shopping cart, but my bad. About a month ago, I neglected to pay for my SSL certificate, and my person that would connect the SSL certificate to my website is MIA, lives in Montana someplace, and I don't know how to get a hold of him. So I apologize. You cannot use that shopping cart this time. It was so nice because you can see pictures and all of that. But anyway, the Lord knows, and I'm trusting that one of these days, either he will show up again and do that for me, or I might have to get another shopping cart. So anyway.
Well, welcome to technology, right?
Oh man, character building opportunities. And you can either come here to my house in Palmer to pick up your order, or we do have a drop point in Talkeetna, in Wasilla, in Chugiak, Anchorage, and Eagle River. So you can choose whichever drop point you want. So I suggest that you go to the website and just read about the co-op. There's just a lot of information there. And place your order, and then we'll get you going. And if you come to meet me at the expo, that's great, and I will love to meet you. And you can come and shop at the store then, because those spring orders will have been placed by that point. But I do keep a well-stocked store here at my house at all times. So you can always come and shop and get your grains. We don't just have grains. We have healthy sweeteners and fabulous oils and nuts and seeds and dried fruit and dried beans and all kinds of baking supplies and pails, which is for storage, and bread pans, and anyway, and equipment, obviously a mill and a Bosch. Anyway, we try to fill all of those needs. And so you can come and shop. I'm open on Tuesdays from 3 to 7 and on Saturdays from 10 to noon. And if you happen to be on Lazy Mountain, because I'm on the way to nowhere, give me a call. And if I'm here and available, I'm happy to let you come. So there we go. Here's grain vials. And people say, why should I go to all that trouble to mill my own grain and make my own bread? Have you looked at the ingredient list? It's this long. And most of those ingredients, you don't have a clue what they are. And you don't know when or where that flour was made. But if you mill it yourself in your own house, you know where it came from. And it's got all the nutrition in it that you're supposed to get. This is some whole wheat, hard to see. Anyway, hopefully you know what whole grains look like. They're just little seeds. And there's over 40 nutrients locked into this grain as long as it's in the whole form. But once you mill it, then those nutrients are all exposed. And so they start to deteriorate, evaporate, spoil. Anyway, and after several days, then the nutrition it just deteriorates day by day. Anyway, the commercial millers know that. And so they will mill it for you, and they will remove most of this goodness right here. And I'll explain these here in a minute. And because they know it'll taste bad, And who wants spoiled food? You wouldn't peel an apple, put it in your cabinet for 6 months, and come back and eat it. That just, So why do we do that with our grain? And maybe why do we eat grain at all? It's probably the most nutrient dense food available, and it stores the longest in the whole form. And the nutrients that are in here will energize you and fill you up and just make you feel amazing because you're being nourished. You won't want to eat 2 or 3 sandwiches because you're getting all the nourishment that you're supposed to get. And your brain will turn off and say, oh, we're not hungry anymore. We don't need any more. You have fed us well. We are satisfied. So that's the 40 nutrients are locked in there. And the first thing that the commercial millers take away is the bran, because it's brown. But that bran is what we need to make our food go through as quickly. We're a very constipated society, and our health really is in our transportation system from mouth to out. And if you've got a really smooth working system that eliminates once or twice a day, then you probably are good and healthy. If you're not doing that, then you probably are eating the standard American diet, which is white flour, white sugar, white salt, hydrogenated oils, preservatives, go to Costco, and what box do we eat tonight? And so my goal is to help people understand how easy it is to work with real food, grains, and all kinds of real food to prepare your own food. The bran makes your food go through you quickly, and it also grabs all the toxins in your system and carries them out. But if your colon is coated with all the hydrogenated oils, white flour, white sugar, with no fiber, then all of that good nutrition that's trying to go through your intestinal tract to feed and nourish your body can't go through. It's stopped up, like you never washed your toilet or washed your sink. And then all the bad stuff that's trying to come through to be eliminated is stopped as well. So many of our poor people are just recycling trash in their systems. And they wonder, why do we have all of these illnesses, that so many allergies, and I can't even think of them because I'm hardly ever sick. But anyway, you'd probably get the understanding. So the bran's important. This is the middling part of the grain that feeds the plant. And the wheat germ and wheat germ oil are the nutrient dense things. And those that if you mill it or process it anyway, you want to put, and don't use it right away, put it in your freezer, and then you're retaining those nutrients. And then this is the white flour that the commercial millers give us. And I liken that to going to a symphony orchestra concert, and out on stage walks a flute, a violin, trumpet, and they start to play, and you go, I paid a lot of money to hear the whole orchestra. Where is that whole orchestra? It's right here in the whole grain. And it's very inexpensive. A loaf of my bread, this size pan right here, probably costs maybe at the most $1.50. And so it's very inexpensive with the finest of ingredients. Today I made a batch of bread, and I don't know if you can see this. There we go. There are 3 loaves of bread, 3 loaves. And then there are 16 of these fabulous pizza rolls and 9 cinnamon rolls. And all of that took me maybe 3 hours of time from start to finish. But a lot of that is rising in the oven, baking. And anyway, it's the most delicious bread you'll ever have. It's a win. So
that looks really yummy.
And I teach people to soak and dehydrate their grains first before they go in the mill, because a lot of people think they need to eat gluten-free. And quite often the gluten is not necessarily the bad guy. When you stop eating gluten, you might feel better. But when you soak and dehydrate your grains, you remove that outside coating on the grain, which is phytic acid, which is God's natural pesticide, and it keeps the bugs away. But that's what messes with our bellies. We itch, we bloat, we just don't feel good. But if you'll soak and dehydrate your grains, your bread will be soft and squishy and delicious for almost a week. And if you don't do that, you'll still get good bread. But after about 2 days, 3 at the most, but more like 2 days, if you squeeze your loaf of bread, it will be dry and stale and crumbly and fall apart. And also your nutrients explode when you do that. I can show a chart. I know it sounds like rocket science, but it really isn't. Does that show up very well? Anyway, I'll just say, come to my house. I'll show you the chart and explain it, and you'll go, wow, that is amazing bread, because it is very soft and squishy. Anyway, I could slice one of those loaves and you could see what it's like. And I can show you. Okay, here's a loaf that's been out for several days. We've been eating on it, and it is soft and squishy. Did your bread ever turn out like that, Tandy?
Well,
Or I don't know if you did it much like.
it's been such a long time, but I'm curious what you wrap your loaves in. My sister-in-law makes bread and she wraps hers in linen.
Oh, I don't. I have still bread bags.
Okay.
Yeah. And that is amazing, because that's been out in my freezer probably since Friday or Saturday. And
Wow.
if I hadn't soaked and dehydrated my grains, if I did this, it would just be crumbles in my hand.
Okay.
So the soaking and dehydrating is fabulous. I sell fabulous dehydrators, mills, mixers. I can get everybody set up, and I don't mind doing a payment plan. So we're actually having a Bosch sale right now. So anyway.
I love that. The other thing, I don't want to touch on stuff that you were going to talk about at the expo, because although you've piqued my curiosity again, but the other thing that I told folks we were going to talk about is maybe working with picky eaters, because when you first switch from, we used to call it Williams white bread because Williams Bakery in 1902 it started. There's like the whole jingle that goes with it.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of us grew up on, and changing, making the snap switch from just the super squishy white bread to a whole grain bread. It's a different taste. And sometimes, especially kids can be a little resistant. Not only does it taste different, but it looks different. And a lot of times it's that visual that says, I'm not going to like this. So what suggestions and tips do you have?
I just say, come and try it. Because once you try it, you go, oh, yeah, this is good. The texture of it really is not that much different than Wonder Bread, white squishy bread. It really isn't when you've soaked and dehydrated your grains, which sounds like rocket science. I know people go, oh, no, never mind. I can't do that. I don't. But it actually takes about 15 total minutes of your time. And the results are just speak for themselves. I make hot cereal. I've got an attachment for my mixer. Here's my Bosch mixer right here. Look at this, there we go. And that's the mill on the other side. It's bamboo and beautiful. Everybody goes, whoa, that is so cute. And it is. Anyway, I have an attachment for my Bosch mixer that you can make your own rolled oats or rolled whatever grain you want. And I've had so many people say, oh, I don't really roll oats. I said, just take a bite. Oh, this is nothing like any rolled oats that I have ever eaten. You're right, it isn't. And they just absolutely love it. So okay, here's a testament. We have a church camp over on Buffalo Mine Road. And the last morning of camp, I make pancakes for all the kids, picky eaters, non-picky eaters, and they all come and they eat. And there's always a contest, who can eat the most pancakes? And it's all whole grain, no white flour. I don't have white flour in my kitchen. I sell it, that's made from our Prairie Gold wheat. But anyway, and economical, 50 pounds of wheat makes 50 loaves of bread, and it costs $55 now for 50 pounds. So you can make 30 loaves of bread, 30 pancakes, 10 cakes, 24 muffins, and 10 pizza crusts, all for $55.
Wow.
And if you go to Costco, how much is that going to cost you?
Besides, it's been stripped of all of I love that visual that you gave us with the vials. That's because it shows what you start with and then what happens and that end result. And you can see all that you're missing. And it's no wonder
It's
that,
incredible.
yeah.
I feel so excited when young families come and visit me and they get set up. I go, those kids are going to be healthy. And they are. I've had several people tell me, you've saved my kid's life. And it's just amazing. You get hooked on it and you just smile and you go, praise God, look at here. We have this wonderful food. I'm 72 and I'm on no meds. I take some supplements. I had a cold this winter, but who didn't? And anyway, my husband is almost 77, and he does eye drops and supplements. That's it. We don't even have a doctor. I don't have a doctor. He's a veteran, so he's got that clinic. But anyway, I just thank the Lord. His goodness, good food, good water. What can I say?
I think what surprises me the most, and I guess what I want people to walk away with this video, is the two misconceptions that automatically come in, three misconceptions that automatically come into your brain. Number one, no one's going to eat it because it's going to taste weird. Number two, it's going to be really expensive. And I think the biggest hurdle for most moms is, I don't have time for this.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was fun. We were just in Oregon. We had a family thing down there, family emergency, and we had to go down. And I stayed with my sister-in-law, and I watched her make bread. She's got the same grain mill you do, except hers is black, not red. And I watched her make bread. She does have a bread machine, but from the time she put the grain in the mill until her bread machine was going, it was under 10 minutes. And she got everything mixed together and she's off. Now, without a bread machine, it's going to take you a little bit longer, but not terribly much longer. And
no, it takes me about 10 minutes to get it going in the mixer. And then it sits for about 20 minutes. And so I do dishes, I do laundry, I vacuum. Okay. And then it takes me about another 10 minutes to get it ready to go into the bread pans. So I go from my mixer onto a mat, and it takes me 10 more minutes to get Today it took longer because I made all these rolls. If I'm just doing loaves of bread, it's done in nothing flat. And then it rises in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes, and then it bakes for about a half an hour. So my personal time is maybe 30 minutes max. And I've got a week's worth of food that I know is going to feed and nourish a lot of people.
yeah.
And you can't go to the store and shop and fight the crowds and the expense and come home. You can make so much. I've got a plate of goodies here. I did another class last week called Healthy Snacks, and we made muffins. I made granola bars. I made cookies. We just made a whole bunch of goodies, and it's all homemade, pretty much from the same ingredients. And I had a lady anyway, and people love it. It isn't that hard. You just get yourself set up, and I've got a ton of recipes and lots of classes.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you have a recipe book, or how do we get some of your recipe ideas?
Okay. I have a recipe page on my website.
Oh,
and I know I need to upgrade it. One man band. How much can you do, right?
boy, do I ever. I know that song well.
Yes. But I know I had one lady here Saturday that bought a grain mill, and she took one of my granola bars. She goes, I don't like granola bars. I've tasted every granola bar, expensive, cheap. I don't like it. But this is amazing.
Aw.
Yeah, I teach people to change your flour from white flour to whole grain. Change your sweetener from white refined colored white sugar to, I've got evaporated cane juice sugar. And from that sugar, I make my own brown sugar and my own powdered sugar. Takes nothing time. Change your fat. If you're using cheap oil, you are really hurting your body. You want a healthy oil, and it's going to be expensive, but that's okay. Everything else is pretty inexpensive. And healthy salt that has color, the micronutrients. If you're getting Morton's or whatever else from the store, bad. So change those things and just use them in your own recipes. It's very simple to do. And I can give you a few hints on that. So you can eat what you want to eat, and it'll be great. And you'll love it. I think picky eaters pretty much like what I've got. Anyway,
I think that's fun. So we have a question. She says she wants to get the days and hours you're open again because she missed it at the beginning.
okay, okay. Tuesday from 3 to 7 and Saturday from 10 to noon. But if you're up on Lazy Mountain and you want to come visit me or Palmer, just give me a call. And if I'm available, I'm happy to help. So my address is 15091 East Lazy Lady Lane in Palmer.
Margaret, I'm excited. I'm excited that I asked about when your next drop is because I just have been thinking that there were a few things that I'd like to order. And a funny story, just today, I had no idea you could do this. Just today, Amy Beach posted that she was, what's it called again? When you flatten oatmeal, what's it called?
You roll or flake it.
Yeah,
You roll
yeah,
your own oats.
yeah, she was rolling her oats and I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And
Yeah.
I've been doing this for how long? And I had no idea. And she says, "Oh, talk to Margaret. She's got the attachment for your box." Because someone was saying about a KitchenAid, and I was like, "I don't have one." And she said, "Just talk to Margaret. She'll get you set up."
Yep. This is the roller flaker. You just pour your grains in the top and it comes right out here. It's amazing. I'll have all that at the expo and people can come and visit my table. And
Will you have samples at the expo, perhaps?
oh yes, I always have lots of samples.
All right.
Bread and cookies, whatever. Yeah.
Perfect.
Bring your picky eaters and see what they think.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Bring the picky eaters and let them try it out. I think that's going to be fun. Thank you, Margaret. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to see you, Tandy.
All right. Goodbye,
God
everyone.
bless. Okay. Bye now.